welcome to today's episode of The Daily Blend. I'm your host, AC, and we are joined today by Robert Ricketts, our always every month guest, and you are the owner of ITCOMO. How are you, Robert?
That's right. Very good. Yes. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So today we're going to talk about something that I feel like has been popping up quite a lot, and that is all these online scams or telephone scams or all these things where people really want access to your information.
Right. Especially for older folks in the community. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's becoming a big problem. In fact, there was an article in the New York Times just yesterday about this attorney that lost like $750,000
oh, goodness.
of his entire retirement to a telephone scam. And so this is really becoming more of a rampant problem, especially for older folks that tend to have a little bit more money than younger folks.
Yeah.
So that's what they're going after, retirement savings. And in some cases, cognition decline is an issue. And so that makes these folks vulnerable. And there's things to talk about to reduce that likelihood.
Yeah. So tell me what some of those things are, because, as somebody who has older folks that I love in my life, like you always want to look out and make sure, hopefully, that they're not getting involved with these kinds of things. But tell us what kinds of things we could do to help mitigate some of that.
Right. So these are suggestions that are going to mostly be for the children of older folks.
Okay.
And so suggestions are, for instance, the bank account. To the extent that the bank allows it, I would recommend that you become a signer on that account.
Okay.
Some banks will allow you to impose activity limits to what those accounts can do. For instance, somebody that's 85 years old, they don't need to be wiring money to anybody.
Right.
So let's turn off the ability to do any kind of money transfer in that regard. Sort of the same thing applies to retirement accounts that might not be with the bank, but maybe with a retirement planner or one of these large retirement companies like Raymond James, for instance, these kind of companies. Each one may have their own policies, but there could be some monitoring that takes place that would notice any unusual activity, like is there a large transfer being requested that's just not part of the monthly disbursement?
Yes.
And so these are things that the children of folks that have these accounts should be able to see and monitor as well. And then there's email monitoring.
Yeah.
So, for instance, with my mom for years, she had a Gmail account and I had a forwarding order set up. So any email she received, I got a copy of it right into my own email address.
Right.
So I don't have to be logging into hers. So if I saw something fishy, then I might log into hers and check just the sent items to see if she's been in contact with those people and then put a stop to whatever is happening.
Yeah.
So that's another possibility.
Yeah, that's really smart. And so I guess where you have to start is, as the child or whatever of the person, then you have to get their permission.
Well, of course.
to do that part. Could be a little tricky, but maybe not. Hopefully not.
Right.
Hopefully not. And so if you're the child of that and you're monitoring email, right, then that's the time if you see something, because look at how many emails we're inundated with every day.
That's right.
Right. And so when that thing comes through that's not above board, it can look, they're smart. They look like official emails,
That's right? So by logging in to her account, just checking to see if that was replied to. If not, I'm out. And that's it. I'm not interested in any other emails.
Right. Okay. And how about, the phone calls? That come through.
Right. So with cell phones, at least, it's possible to configure the phone to not ring or alert you if the caller is not on your contacts. With the landline, you can't really do that.
Yeah.
But with the cell phones, you can. So, as folks get older, especially if there's a cognition issue, then their circle of contacts generally declines anyway. There's not going to be a lot of random people or friends that they know they're going to call routinely. Right. And if they are, put them on the contacts. They can still receive the call. But any phone number coming into the phone that isn't will just get thrown straight to voicemail.
And it's interesting. I don't know if I set it up or if it's something that happens standard now, where when your phone rings, if it's a number that is not on your contacts, it'll say, like spam likely or
that's right.
Telemarketer or whatever. And so that kind of gives you the heads up, definitely don't answer that call.
Right.
But some of them get through. Some of these companies for some reason, are able
Yes.
to use local area codes
Yes.
when they call, and so you may pick it up.
Affinity numbers, numbers that are close. Maybe
Yes.
even your first 3 digits would be the same.
Yes. And so they're able to do that, and you may pick it up thinking, oh, maybe this is somebody, who's got a new number or is calling, and it sounds official. It always sounds official.
And they start in very quickly with the urgency, but the same advice usually applies. If they're calling you, there's no good that can come from that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I sometimes I never pick up numbers I don't know because, I feel like if you leave a message, then I can listen to that and decide whether or not I want to call you back. But even when you listen to the messages, you almost get this urge, like, oh gosh, I need to call back because it sounds very urgent.
Right.
Yeah, the urgency might be a tip off.
Another thing is the kind of computer that a person's using. For instance, in my mom's later years, she didn't really need that full computer anymore. So I bought her an iPad, and she loves it. Now, the iPad, you can still get scammy emails there, but they're far less prone to viruses. There's other controls that you can put on an iPad that would prevent someone from requesting and getting remote control of your iPad.
Yeah.
So it's a safer device in general and really more convenient.
Yeah, it definitely is
well.
more convenient. I mean, just think about it. Size-wise, it's more convenient.
Right.
So I didn't realize that it could be a little bit safer
You
to be using
you can
an
tighten
iPad
up the security on an iPad
as
far
opposed
better.
to a laptop.
Right. Or laptop or any regular full computer. Right.
Why is that?
Well, the iPad and the tablets are designed, and the phones are the same way, are really designed more from the ground up with security in mind.
I see.
So, for instance, when you're giving the first phone to your kid, you want to be able to screw down what they're able to do on that thing.
Very true.
Well, it's just kind of the same thing on the other end of life.
Okay, that makes sense.
And
to
it
me.
makes it for a safer experience. There's far less exposure to fraud, so less likelihood of becoming a victim of fraud.
Okay, that is all very important information.
And I'll be talking about this on my website, ITCOMO.com. I have an article that talks all about what we just did today.
Well, thank you so much, Robert. It really is always important to bring these kind of things that
Yes.
maybe you don't think about all the time to the forefront of your mind.
Right.
So thank you so much for this topic, this discussion, and we will see you again next month.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you.